Well, hello everyone. Here today we're going to put out a video on tearing apart the front differential on a 2008 Polaris Ranger. The front differential is a little more involved than the rear differential, but it's really not too bad. I'm doing this because my four-wheel drive was engaging when it's not supposed to. This is a pretty common problem with the Rangers and the Polaris in general, the way their four-wheel drive system works. So I'm going to tear it apart, but after I got into it I found out that the fluid was very dirty. So I highly recommend, if you're having problems with your four-wheel drive, to first of all change the fluids, and then if that doesn't work, then we can attempt what I'm doing here. I assume, because of the age of mine, that it probably the sprag gear, or the roller cage some people call it, was broken, but after I tore mine apart I got in there and mine was actually perfectly fine. But I do plan on putting a lift and larger tires on it, so I figured, well, we'll upgrade this while I was in there. But the first video is going to show how to remove the front differential, and then I'll have another video showing how to disassemble it. First, begin by removing the side fender guards. There are two bolts on either side, those nuts behind them, and they will slide out towards you. Then remove the three torx screws on either side up towards the bumper. Then there's one just to the right of the bumper going towards the rear, and two behind the shock mount. Along the bottom there are three bolts that hold that in, and then you'll repeat the steps on the other side. Total of 6 torx screws per side. Finally, in the front you can remove the upper grill, 2 torx bits, one on each side, and then there are 2 larger bolts, and once you loosen them you can start swinging it. And with the help of a friend, because it's quite heavy, you can remove the front bumper. In step 2, if you can drain the radiator, there are 4 torx bolts that will make it so you can move that panel to reach it. Remove the radiator cap in the lower right hand corner of the radiator. There's a petcock. You can back that out and drain it into an appropriate pan. If your fluid's clean enough, you can reuse it. And there are 2 bolts along the top. I believe they're 10mm if I remember right. Unplug the fan, and then once the upper bolts are removed, you'll be able to just lift the radiator out after disconnecting all the hoses and electrical connections. So here you can see, if you slide an end wrench on one side and a ratchet on the other, you'll be able to back them out. It's a little tough to get to, but obviously we did get it out. Step 3, remove the half shafts and front differential. We chose to remove the lower control arm and the upper shock mount because that gave us a chance to lube everything up as we put it back together. You could also remove the ball joint on the bottom of the steering knuckle, and that may be a little easier, but like I said, we wanted to lube that connection point on the A-arm since there's no grease fittings there. But back out, unhook all the bolts. We used a pair of pliers to pull it out because it was set in there a little bit from the years of riding in the mud, and we also pried out those connections there because we didn't want to risk pulling the Ranger off the jack stands. But use a big screwdriver or other pry bar, you can pry both sides out. They fit fairly tightly. Now at this point you'll have to back off the axle nut, which you may have either have somebody step on the brake pedal, or if you loosen it up before you take the wheels off. But we just had someone step on the brake pedal and we were able to back the axle nut off. And then you may have to pry a little bit, pry against the shaft, rotate it, pry against it. We did that several times. It did come out hard, but we finally did get it out. But unfortunately my camera died, so there's a lot that was missed in this process, and I didn't realize it died until we had it all tore apart and the differential out actually. So you can see we carefully pry, try not to damage the seals, but it may take a little bit, but it will finally come out. Underneath the machine there you see the 2 front bolts there. There are 4 bolts. Remove that, and then you can see once you remove the differential bolts you can slide it to the side and remove the CVT vent shaft, which is, or the vent tube, which is just to the left of the drive shaft. If you rotate the shaft, we were able to push the roll pin out with an air chisel, or you could probably use a large screwdriver or other center punch to drive that out and then slide the shaft out. We were unable to get the drive shaft off the transmission because it was seized on, so we ended up doing it this way, and we did get out. But again, I apologize for the camera dying. We were unable to get video of this section. If you have any questions, comment below and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos on repairs and places we've gone riding with the Ranger, as well as many other things. Be sure to check out part 2 of this video, repair and reinstallation of the front differential.